everyone, so I got a request to do a synastry between Bad Bunny and Kendall Jenner. So I just thought, because even though they're broken up, I might as well look at the synastry and their composite, see what went on there with their relationship. So in their synastry, we see a lot of Kendall's Sagittarius placements. Her Venus, Mars and Jupiter are squaring his Pisces placements, his Mars, Moon and Saturn. Because of their stelliums, they're squaring each other, and also that Mars of Kendall's is very important. It's her chart ruler. Probably an incompatibility, and also just a theme of restricting freedom for both of them could have been a bit of play for their breakup, and maybe his emotional maturity, depending on that, because he has got that Moon Saturn conjunction, which makes it very hard to be able to express your emotions in a healthy way and in a way for other people to understand them. And also his Moon Saturn conjunct his Mars, so also making him sort of sensitive and reactive, manipulative, maybe even not being able to do things as maybe direct and straightforward as he would like. Sagittarius and Scorpio can be a little bit more blunt, and Pisces being a little bit more indirect. So he could have had some real strictness growing up, maybe a relationship with his mother, that also could cause some issues there. But it can also gain obviously a real maturity and holding things together emotionally for himself and the people in his family, maybe a lot of responsibility in his family. But in intimate partnerships and relationships, it does make it tricky to be understood emotionally, because there are a lot of walls that were put up in childhood because of those reasons. But I just think Kendall deals with things really differently. She's very much in the moment. She's very straightforward, very headstrong. Aries is her rising sign, and then all of that Scorpio and Sagittarius in her chart as well. But the commonality they have with her Sagittarius and his Pisces placements is that they both value freedom and flexibility. Also in their composite, they have a Moon conjunct Saturn, so it does just emphasize the emotional heaviness that there may have been in their relationship, maybe restricted emotions or a heavy sense of duty, responsibility, and it can create stagnation if it's not resolved, because the nature of a good relationship is that you're vulnerable and you're expressive, and you can be vulnerable. But the Moon with Saturn, it's harder to be vulnerable because you feel like you have to keep things together and be okay all the time. And it could also be a burden that's sort of placed on them as a couple as well, maybe particular family values or rules or traditional values that they couldn't move forward with as a couple. But they do have very loving aspects as well. They've got their Venuses trining in fire signs, very passionate, and also his Moon conjunct her Venus. So very loving, soft, tender aspects there between them as well. But sometimes these sweet aspects, they're really good to have in synastry as a good boost for compatibility, but it doesn't always mean that the relationship is going to last. You do need to see some positive Saturn aspects where the couple, or even if they're not positive, there's something that they've worked through together, because that's why Saturn is the glue in relationships, is because overcoming restrictions or hardship create a stronger bond, and overcoming vulnerability in a relationship, or allowing for a vulnerability, increases the intimacy and the bond. You have to have it there. You have to overcome the issues to be able to move forward with the relationship. And so it's sort of like love isn't always enough for a relationship to last, but it can create a sweet experience, and you can gain what you need to gain from the relationship, and I'm sure they did. So it looks like for this relationship, they decided to value that freedom over overcoming those hardships of the relationship. Moon Saturn it's very heavy for a reason. It can feel like a massive roadblock, and maybe that is also a lesson, is to be able to understand boundaries. Maybe it was a boundary they both didn't want to cross and couldn't cross, so that's where you learn about yourself, and it's still a successful relationship even if they don't stay together. So I think it's about coming back to the individual charts and looking at how much they both value freedom and self-expression and their flexibility, and gaining experiences in life and feeling their way through life. They really both do that. And maybe it was that's what they needed to learn about themselves instead of staying together. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like or comment, and I'll see you soon.